So, as probably most of you know, Le Soir is a newspaper born in Brussels 130 years ago, which at the age of digital looks a long time, I guess. It was founded in the center of Brussels, and we are here still in the center of Brussels. Today, we can still say that we are the first quality newspaper in French-speaking Belgium. We have on a daily basis 550,000 people reading our content. And this is still possible thanks the multitude of support we have today, being paper and being digital. This is where we come. Now, and I like much this drawing from Plantu. As you might know, Plantu is drawing for Le Monde. As you can see, being digital in the newspaper you don't need to claim it only. It implies many change in your industry, many change in the way we do the business. And I won't have the time today to discuss all the aspects, but I will try to stress three aspects. But before I go there, I would like to give you some history. So we were born in 1887, 130 years ago, I said it. And we got the first revolution in the year 20s. Being the radio coming, being a new media. Before that, we were the only one. The way to be informed was the press, or people talking to people talking. The radio was seen as a first challenger to the press because now you had another media to get information. But at the end of the day, it was much more a complementary media to the press than a competitor. And then in the 50s came another revolution which was television. And again, I think the press people were at that moment kind of scared by this new media being able to compete with the press. But still it ends up to be quite complementary. And the true revolution happened only 20 years ago, more or less, with internet coming. And in fact, in 96, Le Soir was the very first French-speaking newspaper launching a website in Belgium, lesoir.be. So it's very recent if you look 130 years ago, but at the age of digital it's already very old, is 21 years ago. And this step we took implies many change in the way we are doing our job, and this is what we will try to discuss today. As I said, I won't be able to touch on all the aspects, but I would like to touch three aspects. First of all, the offering. Digital means a new product, a new way to sell our product, a new way to tell the story. So we will go through that and the underlying business model. The second impact we're going to discuss is customer lifecycle management, and more specifically, we're going to focus on customer acquisition. Thirdly, the content production. So how do we produce our content in the newsroom and we bring that to the public? And the last one we won't discuss because I think you could deserve 3 full sessions of digital first, is the advertising part, which is evolving so quickly thanks to the digital business. So I will focus on the 3 first one. So, 1 second. Sorry. So, starting with the story about the offering, the key question is digital for free? And at the moment it was launched, and I think still in the mindset of many people, meaning the user, it's very normal that paper is paying. Everybody understands that to get a newspaper you need to buy it, there is paper, there is something you hold in the hands. But the way people see digital news today is often still for free. Why? Because the digital world has been bringing many things for free, and the way we launched the content 20 years ago, it was for free. But today, I think that's probably not the right way to say it, because basically at the moment that internet came, there was probably a strong belief to say, hey, internet is a new media to distribute the content, and the advertising is going to pay for that media. Today we know that the digital advertising market is growing, but it's a very challenging market. There are many competitors, and if we look the last year, we know that the GAFA, being the Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon of this world, are taking a big part of that market, which means that there is today, if you want to have a quality newspaper, no free model. That's not possible. You need to pay for the content, you need to monetize the content. Otherwise, you cannot have, like at Le Soir, 100 journalists bringing high quality content. So we clearly need to change the paradigm. And the paradigm is not anymore paper or digital, is free or paying. And for sure, free news will stay. And Le Soir is playing in that in that model with Le Soir.be, which is, as I said, existing since 21 years, and we still support that very strongly, and I will explain why in a second. But you have also the paying content, and what's the difference is that in the free world, you're going to have very factual, very short information. We're going to follow what's happening, while in the paying content, we will bring high quality analysis, deep dive studies, and the perspective of what's coming next, the solution aspect. So much more value-added content. This is what the newspaper has been bringing for 130 years, and this is what we want also to bring today in the digital world. So as I said, it's not digital versus paper, it's free versus paying. And if you look at the paying world, it's not about digital against paper. What we see more and more is that people are using the different support in a complementary way. At Le Soir, we launched a few months ago a very flexible way to subscribe to our products. So you buy, basically by default, the digital access all the week long, and you can choose the day you want to receive the newspaper at home, being the Wednesday, the Fridays, the Saturday. This kind of new way of selling the product and promoting that is working very well, because the weekend usage of a newspaper is very different in the week. And the paper is seen as a quality time to go into the deep dive, while the week might be much more quick digitals and following up. So these are complementary products. Now, why is free important? Because we took the step 20 years ago of being in that market and try to capture part of the advertising market. And we still have that advertising market, so we need to keep it. It's very important. But also, it's a very first contact to the brand. Basically, bringing people to Soir.be, it's a way to bring the Belgian citizen in contact with our brand, with our product, and with the quality we can bring to the market. And why is that so important? It's because it's the best way, hopefully, to recruit paying consumer by promoting the quality of what we do. By having that audience, we hope that a part of that we can bring them into the paying world, where we bring much more quality. So this world has to feed the paying world. That's clearly the objective we have. On top, and I am sure all of you know that, if you open a paper newspaper, there is still a lot of advertising in there. So there is also an advertising world into the paying part of our business, and that model has to be renewed as well, because paper is slightly going down as a distribution, so we need to renew the advertising model also in the paying world. So that's basically the challenge we face into the offering and the way we need to rethink our product, and that's bring us to rethink also the way we sell the product. And I'm talking here about customer lifecycle management, but I will more specifically go into customer acquisition in the digital world. What I'm going to tell here is slightly a bit exaggerated, but this is basically the desire to stress how different it is today than 30 years ago. In fact, before 95, why 95, start of internet, the content was king. You were going into the news shop or the bookshop, the library, to buy Le Soir, to get the news, to get the stock market information, to get the timetable of the cinema, to get the weather forecast, to get many information. There were many reasons to buy the newspaper. And if we look back, and the pictures are very old, you were either going to the bookshop, buy your Soir, and today €1.60, or you were taking a subscription by mail, by phone, or these were even the desk to subscribe Rue Royale at the time. So it was quite easy to do customer acquisition. The good news is that today, the content is still king. People consume our product because of the content. But, and there is a big but, a lot of content is available for free. And that's clearly the challenge, because as I said, we need to bring the people into the paying world if we want to have a strong newsroom with high quality journalists. So we need to be able to have a difference between that free world and that new world. And if we look at the customer acquisition, you get into the digital customer acquisition, and I will not go in this kind of very classical funneling from prospect up to acquisition, but I will try to tell you the story a bit a different way. The way we try to do it today at Le Soir and the way we do it today might be even different within 6 months, because we are every day progressing into there. So this little guy could be, or girl, could be one of you. So the first target we have is, just checking I'm doing with time, The first target we can have is how do we bring that guy to Le Soir and to Le Soir.be. First of all, we need to have a very strong brand. So that's all the marketing and the content marketing we are doing. It's then everything linked to SEO. It's everything linked to social media. But just bring traffic and qualitative traffic to Le Soir.be. This is the audience of the free world. From there, what we are trying to do more and more is to build bridges from the free website to the paid content. Why? Because if you want people to discover the value you have to expose them to that value. Or we can try to bring them even directly to the paying website. And if you follow Le Soir on Facebook, you're going to see that sometimes we push you through certain articles directly on Le Soir Plus. Why that? Because every day, we have what we call the golden nugget. We have 1, 2, 3. What is the golden nugget? This is a high quality content that is normally reserved to subscriber or paying customer that we leave open to everybody. And on the daily basis, we push this kind of content to let people taste the difference of what is a 1,000 character article you're gonna to find on the Soir.be versus a 10,000 character analysis and deep dive study you're gonna to find into the Soir Plus. That's one way to let people taste our product. The other way, which is slightly more frustrating, is you attract people through your content, you let them read an article or the start of an article that looks interesting, but you get, if you are not connected, if you are not a subscriber, you get on the paywall, meaning you have been reading 80% of the article, 20% of the article, to read the 80% remaining, you're gonna have to pay. And that's a way to tease. I agree, and I get often the feedback. It's very frustrating, but yes, we need to frustrate a bit the customer to show the value of what we do. But Le Soir.be has another role. Next to advertising, it's also feed database. Database for what? Database of contact, database of prospect. That we're gonna to use. How do we feed this database? Through newsletter, through contests, and through different ways. What the role of this database is to have qualified contact that we can use to promote our product. I come back on there. Sometimes we even complete our database through partnership. We have a lot of cultural partnership, brand partnership, and we use that also to feed the database. And why do we do that? Because it's a very efficient way, first, to qualify the audience, to understand it, and we develop tools to be able to understand the usage they do on the website, to segment their usage so that we can even more target them or retarget them when they are on our website, so that, through different tools, being very easy tools like emailing, but also more advanced tools like retargeting, be able to bring them either to our offering, explaining, hey, we have a nice product portfolio, we have a promotion for the moment, we sell, for example, our subscription at 50% for 6 months. If anybody wants to subscribe, that's the right time. Or to promote the content. Meaning the French election was very hot topic for Le Soir, for example. We have been promoting a lot, all the follow-up we have been doing during the French election, also to non-subscriber people, because that can be a reason to enter into our product. Remember, content is king, so we use content to promote our products. So either they arrive on the paywall, either they arrive on our product kiosk. We try to have them as flexible as possible through Drupal technology. And then the next step is we get them for 1 month for free. So they get, like Spotify does, like Netflix does, they get the opportunity to test the product for 1 month. So meaning we get now a detailed contact, we get even a credit card number normally, because we see that that's the best way to capture the customer is to get them engaged from day one. But still they have the confidence they can quit us at any moment during the first month. And by the way, they can quit us at any moment after as well. So there is no commitment anymore in this kind of offering. But that means that our work is not finished at all, because from getting a customer for 1 month for free and get him an active customer convinced by the service, staying with us, and then being able already to pay €13 a month for his fully digital subscription, there is a lot of work to be done on what we call the onboarding. So it's during the first day of his subscription, having as many contacts as possible with the customer, explaining the product, the features, the quality, promoting the content, so that he's really starting using the product, and that at the moment he gets to the end of the month, he does not want to drop anymore the product. So it's a long story, but just to explain that acquisition in the digital world is probably very different than what we were doing in the normal world before. Because again, a lot of content is for free, so promoting the content is more difficult than 30 years ago. And on top, we believe that selling digital is an easy one. Yes, in a way, there is no shops. Yes, it can be very smooth, but there is a lot of work to be done to get the consumer from the point A to Z being a paying customer. And that's one of the big challenges we are working on. Just two spotlights to show what I was explaining. So this is lesoir.be. We changed that website in June. And basically one of the main reasons of changing the website is putting much more link and bridge between the paying website, Le Soir Plus, and the non-paying website. So this is a picture of this morning. You see that the Catalonia story was extremely hot. So the hot facts, the hot news, you're gonna to have on lesoir.be, but all the detailed analysis, we're gonna to promote that on Le Soir Plus. So somebody who wants to have a superficial reading of what's happening is gonna to have the information, but somebody who wants to deep dive on the topic will be pushed to Le Soir Plus, either to one of the golden nuggets, and he will be able to read all the content in another environment, either to the paywall, and with the frustration of not being able to access it, but basically knowing that if he pays, he can access it. I was 6 weeks ago at Le Figaro. They are today following on a daily basis how many sales they do by article. So to show this is the best acquisition method, is read content. The second thing we did, and some of you might be in the room frustrated about that if you are using the app of Le Soir, we have an app since a long time, but this app was open to free customer, free user, and paying customer. For sure, the content you could access being a free user or a paying customer was not the same. But so we launched in June, end of June at that moment, a new version of that application, and we took a very bold decision. We said, as from now, everybody can download the app, but the content in the app will only be available for the paying subscriber. And this, I can tell you, we got a lot of complaint about that from a user, and I can understand that. But on the other hand, it comes from another reasoning. The reasoning is application give even a better experience than the mobile website. And today we believe that we need to increase the distance between, as I said, the free world and the paying world. Content is one thing, experience is another thing. So we believe that we need to promote high quality experience, high feature experience only to the paying user, and that's the reason why we took that bold decision. And by the way, the first feedback customers are not always happy, but what we see is that through that we are selling more subscription because people now, through the App Store of Apple or Google, are basically subscribing to Le Soir. So it's bold, but it's bringing results. The last point I want to touch on is the product, the content production. Again, I took some old picture, but I think it's important to understand that in the newsroom, which is the engine of a newspaper, at the end of the day, we are living over the last months and years major transformation. If you go back years ago, basically what you had a journalist typing his text after doing his study and all the work he had to do. This text was typed on a paper, as you can see. Then you had a second guy retyping the text of the journalist in this nice machine that was making it possible to bring the content on an aluminum plate, because as you might know, the printing is still with plates, paper going into plates. There's no the inkjet or laser printing is still the old way of doing it. And then it was going to what we call the printing machine, the rotative. Today it's very different. For sure, the journalist is not anymore using a typing machine. He's using a computer, that's normal. But the very important thing is not typing anymore a paper. He's typing in a story folder. And that story folder is an electronic folder that we're going to use to spread all the content on the different platforms. So for sure, we still print the newspaper into a printing machine, and we still have to print, as you can see here, the aluminum plate. So that part is not changed. But everything up to the moment that you have the printing of the aluminum plate is fully digital. That's the first thing. But the second thing, and that's the most important, and that's the one very much changing for the journalist, a newspaper, it's printed as from 11 o'clock in the evening to be in your at home at 6 o'clock in the morning. But Le Soir Plus has to be available 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is a big challenge, but also a huge opportunity. Let's think about Trump election. I think that the Trump election was confirmed in the morning at 8:46 in the morning. So the Le Soir was already printed. So no way for us to be able to talk about the final result on the newspaper. But in the digital world, there is no reason to wait the next day to bring the information. Now, with Le Soir Plus, we can bring in the morning of the event high quality content to your user through that digital platform. And what you're gonna to get the next day in the newspaper will be already in the next level of analysis, or that will be the best of what to bring. It can look logical, but I can tell you that for a journalist, it's a huge change, because before he was used to be ready with his article at 10 in the evening. Today he has to be ready at the moment the news is relevant, and he has to bring it. And sometimes he has to accept that we publish digitally his content before it's even available on paper. And in the way of working of a newsroom, and in the thinking of a journalist, that's a massive change. So we really, really go through a change of working. So as I said, digital transformation is touching many parts of the business. And again, we didn't touch the advertising, which is so important in our business as well. And if I have to summarize, in our business, the digitalization started a long time ago, 20 years ago, 21 years ago, probably sooner than other companies or other business. It's fundamentally changing what we do, and it's challenging us, but also bringing clear opportunities. We don't know exactly what's gonna to be in the bottle, so we are adapting our model as we speak, and we need to change it rapidly because the world around us is changing rapidly. But we need to do two things. We need to defend the DNA of Le Soir, being a high-quality newspaper, and its history of 130 years, bringing all the credibility it has. But also we need to manage the legacy. We are still winning a lot of money through selling paper newspaper. So we need to be on two fronts. So, and I think that's the same for many of the other industry. It requires a lot of anticipation. We need to think ahead. It requires agility, and that's difficult for a company which is 130 years old. We have older people that have known a totally different world, so we need to bring them with us. It requires audacity, and I have to say that with Rossel we have chance because we are a big company. Above Le Soir, you have a big group being present both in France and in Belgium, and that helps. And it requires resource. It's about people. How do we use our talents and our older talent that bring all the credibility and their experience, and we add new talents coming from the digital world? How do we work with partners that bring experience that we don't have and help us to develop solution and partnership? And it requires to be able to invest into this new technology, because otherwise we cannot follow the world changing around us. This was my story today. Thanks for attention.